Looking for patriotic decorating ideas that are both beautiful and practical? Today, I am sharing 11 of my favorite patriotic DIYs, from home decor to functional pieces you can actually use throughout your home.
Hi, I'm Loli. Let's create something beautiful and find a little joy along the way. This one was unexpected. I wrestled with this one, but finally I figured out what I'm going to do. I'm going to use the spindle and the pail and some of this nutmeg brown from Apple Barrel. We are going to take a brush and we are going to start stippling that nutmeg brown from Apple Barrel all over our tin. Please note that my brush is wet and this helps a lot with forming those little droplet kind of effect on here that will be pretty original to, real rusting. This is the effect we are going for. I did that all around and in part of the inside too. While the paint was still wet, I'm taking some cinnamon and I'm going to sprinkle it all over. I'm going to try to add it heavier in some areas than in others, just so we can have that, that random feel all around the entire can. There were some areas in which the paint kind of disappeared. I don't know how, but it did. So I added more paint to those areas and came back with the cinnamon on top of those areas. I was trying to not have big, areas where I had a lot of that brand new silver look. So I just kept going with it until I saw, that it looked generally rusted. And I try to be heavier too on the edges right here because usually water and humidity will kind of deposit or accumulate here in those edges and it will cause more rust in there. So I did that all the way around. Then I took it outside and gave it a clear coat of matte sealant. Now we're going to use our spindle. And I'm going to take a drill and find a drill bit that is the same girth as our screw here on the spindle. I found the center of the pail and we are going to go ahead and drill that hole right in there. Make sure you keep your drill nice and straight and be very careful and use some eye protection in case any metal goes flying on your eyes. And it was perfect. Now we're going to go ahead and screw the spindle in place. Full disclosure, I was too eager to put this in. I was supposed to distress this first and then put it in, but I put the cart before the horse. Don't judge me. Crafters make mistakes too. So it is fine. Here I put it in and it was nice and snug. I would have loved to have a bolt so I'm able to put it in the back of it to secure it properly, but I didn't have it on stock at the time. So now I'm going to distress this. I just took a piece of sandpaper and then just went to town with it, removing most of that shine so the spindle will, look like it actually went through the same weathering as the pail did. And this is what we ended up with. Look how beautiful that's looking. But I did not like the hanger here, so I'm going to remove that completely, put it to the side, and then ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. Just kidding, there's nothing there. All right, now we're going to embellish this further. We're going to take this piece of ribbon and these stars that were sent to us as well. I'm going to cut a section of this. I'm not going to use the entire ribbon. I'm going to tie it right here. I want it to be kind of staggered, so I will not be having the tails be the same length. Once I'm happy with the length, I'm just going to go ahead and trim off the excess. Then I trim off the edges from the ribbon right here. I'm doing it in an angle. And this is so I'm going to be gluing these right here at the ends, but I don't want those ends to be shown at the front of the star, so that takes care of that problem. Then I'm going to add some hot glue to the edge of the ribbon and attach the star to it. I'm attaching the ribbon to exactly the midsection of the star, so that way the edge will be hidden. And then once that was attached nicely, I'm going to add more hot glue on the other side to glue down the rest of the star. And I repeated the same thing with the other side. I distressed the ribbon, and that is it for this one. Please let me know what you think about this project. For this project, you will need a plate from Dollar Tree, a bowl, and a candle holder. I'm going to take some Fix All adhesive from Dollar Tree as well, and I'm going to add it to the bottom section of the candle holder. I had to confess that I used this adhesive before and I thought that it didn't work. But guys, I did not read the directions. You're supposed to adhere it or add it onto your surface, let it sit for 10 minutes, and then you're going to come back and put it onto the other surface you're trying to glue it to. I have never read the directions, and this is why it didn't work before. I'm going to add the candle holder to the middle of the plate, press it in place, and add some fixed hole adhesive to the top rim of the candle holder as well. And the same thing that I did earlier, I'm going to let this sit for 10 minutes to dry. And then after that, I'm going to remove that tag from the bottom of the bowl using some heat and add it to the top section of that candle holder. First here, I thought that the candle holder was going to sit in this little edge here in the inside portion of the bowl. I should have measured before I put this together, but I didn't. So if you do this, put the fix all on that white section instead, wait 10 minutes, and then we are going to position the bowl right onto there. The bowl sits directly, that little ridge fits exactly onto the edges of the candle holder. Turn your piece around before you adhere everything to make sure that everything is nice and centered. And once you're sure, what I did was put something heavy over this and let it sit overnight. And that is it for this piece. Let me know in the comment section, what do you think about this one? For this project, we'll be using this basket that I got from a local thrift shop, but I guess it was brand new because it still had the tag. And it came from Christmas tree shops. That store closed down sadly, but anyway, I'm going to take some of these stars that I got from Dollar Tree and I'm going to use 8 of them. I'm going to paint them with some of this ocean from Waverly. I'm also going to use some of this Waverly Antique Wax and also the Flamingo Red from Apple Barrel. I'm painting 2 stars with the ocean, 2 with the Flamingo Red, and the other 4 with the Antique Wax. And here they are. I left them very distressed so they will look mostly like a stain. I'm going to take some hot glue, add it to one of the stars that is stained with the Waverly Antique Wax, and position it right there at the center. Then to add the red one, I'm trying to figure out where is the top section of the star. Guys, I don't know. It was late at night. Any side could be the top. I added hot glue to the red one there and added it on that left-hand side. And then added some hot glue to the blue one, being very careful not to drop it on my leg again. I did that. I still have the mark. So I learned that I'm being careful with my small pieces, making sure that everything dries, and then removing any excess hot glue that seeped from the edges. For the edges here, I'm going to add the stained stars to this one. All right, for the last 3 stars, I put them on the other side in that order, and that is it. You can just add some Dollar Tree utensils to it, and this is the perfect dispenser for your barbecues this summer. Let me know what you think. We are starting this project with this wooden tissue box. And we're going to use it as it's intended, but we are going to fix it up. Here, the hinge was a little bit wonky, but all I have to do was just tighten it up right here with some needle nose pliers, and now it is good as new. All right. To decorate it, I'm going to use Flamingo Red from Apple Barrel, and I'm going to mix it in this container. You see black there, but it's dry and it's not going to affect our project. Don't worry. Then I'm going to take some of the antique wax from Waverly, add some in there too. I'm going to start with a little first. I'm going to mix it together, and I'm using some of the water that I have from the container where I keep my paint brushes when I'm working with them, just to add some dilution to this. I'm going to mix this and see if that's the color that I'm going for. And I just continue to add more of the antique wax because I'm going for a color that is more antique. So I'm adding more on there and mixing it in place as you see there. And once I get to the tone of red, I'm going to dilute it with some water, and we are going to use it to create a stain for the entire tissue box. Using the same brush, I'm going to just go ahead and go in horizontal directions and then vertical directions, making sure that I don't have any drips. And I'm going to cover both the outside and the inside of the tissue box. It came out brighter than I wanted, so I'm going to come in with a piece of sandpaper. I think this is 120 grit, and I'm going to sand down the entire tissue box. And I'm making sure to be very heavy in all of the edges. Then I come in with a wipe and some antique wax, and I'm going to go ahead and add it to everywhere in the tissue box. I want to make both the raw wood and the red a bit more antiqued, and this was the perfect way to do it. It does adhere to the raw wood, and it also darkens up the red areas. And this is what it looked like when I was done. Then I took some of the thickened stripe fabric, and we are going to cut it in half. I folded it as you see there to mark the middle point. Then I folded it the opposite way as you see there, make sure that everything was nice and straight. And then I squared it here with the edges of my cutting mat. Then I'm going to take one of these cutting tools that I got from Dollar Tree. I ended up using the larger one because I folded the fabric in half. I want to make sure that I can go through the entire fabric, and I am measuring at 16 here, and I'm going to go straight down, keeping the 16 on the other side in mind so everything is straight, and this cut it perfectly. Now we are going to take one of these sides right here, and I'm going to fray both of the edges on the vertical section here, like the longest part of the thickened fabric. And I did that with both sides. Now I'm going to attach this to the middle of our tissue box. And we will be attaching a star as well. And we are going to also use some of this drop cloth also. I'm just going to cut about a 2-inch strip for this. I'm going to just put a little slit and then rip that piece off and cut off the other end because that one had the stitching and it was kind of hard to rip. Now we're going to position this piece at the center of the thickened strap. And although I have frayed edges and it looks pretty messy, that is what I'm going for, so that is perfect. I'm just going to take some of this twine also that I have. But first, apparently, I need to cut the excess there. I'm going to take some of this fabric fusion and I'm going to use it to attach the fabric to the box. I'm just going to add some here to the edges, but I'm going only as wide as the fabric is going to go. We're going to start by attaching the thickened stripe first, and we are going to make sure that it's centered, and we also are going to make sure that our stripes are all straight and that the fabric is adhered correctly. Here, once it's attached, I'm going on the edges and adding some more of that fabric tack, and I'm going to do that with all 3 sides. I will be leaving the back of it undone because my fabric was not long enough to go all the way around. Once I got to the edges, I'm taking this smaller rotary cutter and I'm cutting off the fabric right here at the corners and removing that excess. And I repeated the same process with the other piece. Now we're going to take our drop cloth and we're going to attach it right here at the center of the thickened stripe. And to do that, I'm also using some of the fusion fabric. And I repeated that with the 2 side pieces as well. And cut off the excess drop cloth. Then I'm taking the twine right here and I'm going to wrap it all the way around. I'm going to start with the back of here. This piece, I will let it go all the way over. I'm going to just wrap it about 3 or 4 times around, trying to put it in different directions to create more texture and more interest. Once I was happy with the amount of revolutions, which turned out to be 5 apparently, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this section right here and tie everything in the back with a double knot and trim off the excess. And look how cute this is turning out. Now we are going to take our star. First I thought I was gonna use this one, but it just felt super big. I don't know. Let me know if you like it, if you're one that went with this direction. Ultimately, I went with one of the smaller ones. And I'm going to attach it right here at the center. First I was thinking, let me attach it here on the side. Then I was like, here at the center, but I am a creature of habit and symmetry. So of course I went with the center look. So I added some hot glue to the 5 points of the star and attached it at the center of that cord. And it wasn't rustic enough for me, so I took some antique wax and I'm going to add antique wax to different sections of the wood just to have it look a little bit more primitive and grungy. And this gave it the perfect touch. And with that, I'm also going to be adding more of that antique wax all over the fabric to also distress that. I did it on both the drop cloth, the thick stripe fabric, and also the twine. And that is it for this one. Please let me know in the comment section, what do you think about this project? I gotta say it again, I love this one too. For this project, we'll be using this tic-tac-toe that I got from Dollar Tree. We're going to remove it from the packaging. This is going to be quite a simple project. We are just going to give it a patriotic flair. You know how that song goes, all you need is love. So here, all we're going to need is some paint and some love. It suits it with the X's and O's, right? Anyway, I'm going to take some of this apple barrel paint, and this is in the color flamingo red. I was way too liberal here. Do not add this much paint because we did not need this much. I ended up spreading it around and I ended up giving it a total of 3 coats, and I had to take away some of that paint because it's way too much. It was way too messy. So just take your time, paint nice and neat, and give this about 3 coats. However, if you use chalk paint, I'm sure you will probably just need just 1 coat. And ta-da! Here it is, nicely painted and dry. Now we're going to work with the X's and O's. I'm going to use this Waverly chalk paint in the color Ocean, and I'm going to add the paint to the sides of each one of the X's and O's and the back as well, and I'll be leaving the front completely unpainted because that will be the white of our flag. And I really love that wood grain that each one of the X's and O's have. Once everything was nice and dry, we are going to go ahead and reposition each one of our pieces back onto the board, and we have a perfect tic-tac-toe game for all summer long. It's going to be used for doing your Memorial Day celebration or 4th of July. The possibilities are endless. And there you go. I win twice. Let me know what you think. For this project, we'll be using our drop cloth. I'm not going to use the entire thing. Here, I'm trying to figure out exactly how much I'm going to use. But I knew this was too wide because I'm going to be using this embroidery hook that I got at a local thrift shop. I think I got paid about 50 cents for it. I am going to go ahead and remove the circle from the inside, and we're going to measure exactly how much we're going to use here. I'm going to cut here the length that I will need and make sure to leave about, I would say about 2 inches extra in both sides so you are able to clamp the fabric into your embroidery hoop. Now here I'm making it less wide. I'm just going to do a little slit and rip off the end. I want this to be, you know, pretty primitive. So I'm going to just go ahead and remove a lot of threads from the horizontal area here, so I have a nice fray look on the edges. And I repeated that on the other side as well. Then I'm going to reposition that wooden ring that I had in the middle here, and I'm making sure that my fabric is nicely taut, and I'm also going to be sure that it is centered well and that the top of the embroidery hoop and the fabric is all parallel and straight. And I had way too much fabric on the edges, so I'm going to go ahead and trim that off. And I just left about an inch behind. If you're enjoying this video so far, please don't forget to hit that like button. And while you're there, let me know in the comment section where you're watching from. I love to know how far my videos are reaching. And share, because sharing is caring and it helps my channel grow. Thank you so much. All right, so now we are going to tack this down with some hot glue. I'm going to add hot glue to the top section of the embroidery hoop as you see there and fold the remaining fabric down. This attaches the fabric to the inside wood ring alone. And I repeated this with both sides. Then I took the thickened stripe fabric that was also sent to me, and we're going to add it to the middle of our drop cloth. But first, we're going to fray the edges off of this as well. I remove the middle embroidery hoop, position the fabric on top of the drop cloth, and reposition it back in place. And it came out so nice. Look how beautiful that's looking. But we are not done yet. We are going to make sure that this is nicely centered, that our thickened stripes are all straight, and then we're going to tighten up our embroidery hoop. And we are going to go ahead and glue down our thickened stripe fabric. Friend, if you're enjoying this video so far, please don't forget to hit that like button. And if you're loving it, make sure that you hit that hype button as well. I truly appreciate it and it helps my channel grow. Thank you so much. And look how beautiful this is looking. Now we're going to take the 3 stars, the bigger ones we did not use, and we are going to attach it to this. I'm going to add hot glue to all of the tips here, making sure to be generous so that way it will be able to attach to a fabric. I'm going to start with adding one right here at the center, and I will be adding the other 2 on the sides. And this is looking beautiful so far, but it is still not screaming primitive, rustic Americana. So I'm going to take some of my antique wax and a brush and distress the embroidery hoop and the fabric. I went quite heavy on the embroidery hoop, but with any remaining wax, I'm going very lightly on the fabric just to give it a little grungy look without going overboard. I still want the stars to be the stars. Then I took some of this leftover ribbon that I had on here, and I'm going to feed it there in between the 2 pieces of the embroidery hoop. As you see there, I couldn't get it through just with my fingers, so I took the back of a brush to push it right through. Then I fed it all the way through, made a double knot at the top, and now this will be our hanger. It still didn't feel rustic enough to me, so I took some more antique wax and truly distressed that embroidery hoop. And that is it for this one. Please let me know in the comment section what do you think about this project. I love it. All right, for this, we will be using this basket that I got during Christmas from the local thrift shop and 3 solar lights. I wish I had 3 of these patriotic ones, but for some reason I only had the blue and the clear, so I'm going to use this red one. To start, we are going to fix up our basket. I'm going to take some ocean from Waverly and cover this top ring so I can cover up the trees and the bottom as well. Question for you. Do you use these Waverly paints? And if you have you noticed that about 6 months or maybe a year, they become very thick and it's a lot harder to work with them? Is that something that's just happening to me? I'm wondering if it's the environment in which I keep them. I usually keep them on my basement, which is a little bit colder. Or is there something that happens to this paint after that period of time? But let me know in the comment section. So in order to remediate this and be able to use this and it glides on my project, I just added a little bit of water to my paintbrush and mixed it together into that cap. So I was able to glide it easier and cover up the Christmas trees on here. You can see here that this is doing such a great job. So I only had to give only 1 coat of paint to both rings. If you're enjoying this video so far, please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. And while you're there, go ahead and subscribe and hit the notification bell so YouTube notifies you each time that I upload a new video. All these things are free and they mean the world to me. All right, so here I'm using some antique wax from Waverly, and I'm slowly building that grungy feeling all over this basket. I'm making sure to offload most of the antique wax as I go, so I have more control on how heavy my antique wax going into the basket, and I just kept going with this process until it was to my liking. And I did the same thing with the inside as well. Next, I took some of this floral foam, pressed it onto the bottom of the basket, and now I'm going to take each one of my solar lights and I'm going to remove all of the tags, take that stick from the bottom that you will usually stick on the ground and put it onto the bottom of each one of them and then stick them into my floral foam. I'm going to try to stagger them and we'll put in the two that look the same on the sides, and I'm going to place the red one in the middle. If I could and I had another one, I will be adding the red one of the same kind of solar light to this. Now I'm taking some of this boxwood that I got from Walmart, and I'm not going to cut it. I'm just going to remove all the tags of them, then fold the stems in half and stick them all around that floral foam until my little basket is completely filled. Using a total of 4 picks. I give them a nice fluff so they will be nicely full and nothing will be seen. Then I took one of these stars that I got from Dollar Tree this year. It was hard to remove it by myself, so I took one of these staple removers. I got this at Walmart. If I got this at Amazon, if you're interested in getting it, it will be linked in the description box below. And I'm removing the staples that are both in the top and the bottom, and I'm keeping the other 2 pieces for different projects. Then I added a nice amount of hot glue to the front of my basket, and I'm adhering my star right there at the front. I'm going to hold it in place until it completely dries. Then I took my blush brush with some antique wax. I'm going to lightly dust some antique wax all over this just to age it. That way it matches my basket a lot better. And this is it for this project. I love how this turned out. Let me know in the comment section below what do you think about this one.
I took 4 of these little crates from the Dollar Tree, and now I'm taking some of my Waverly antique wax and I'm diluting it with some water, and we are going to go ahead and also paint the front of these crates with my Black & Decker paint and primer, and then we're going to use that mixture that we made in the beginning, and we are going to go ahead and add some more of the antique wax. I didn't like how light it was. So I'm just making a little darker and I'm going back in, and this is more of the color I was hoping to get. So I'm going to completely cover the entire section that is exposed, that was unpainted, with this mixture. And I'm not being careful to not get into the white because that's going to get distressed anyway. So I got the sides. Now I'm going into the little pieces that are in between, and I'm wiping off the excess and also wiping some onto the white to antique it as well. And here are all 4 pieces all completed. Now we're going to take some of these napkins from the Dollar Tree and I'm going to place it right on top of all the crates. I want to see exactly how they're going to fall. So once I was happy and I knew that one was enough, I'm going to add Mod Podge to all 4 of them. My friends, I want to take a quick moment to say welcome to my channel and thank you for clicking on my video, and to my subscribers, thank you so much for your support. It truly means the world to me. Thank you so much. And those that are new, consider subscribing. I let that Mod Podge dry, and then I'm placing my napkin right on top of it, and I'm just making sure that it's nice and straight. Then I'm cutting them into 4 individual pieces, and I'm going to take some parchment paper and my little iron and iron this napkin onto my piece. Please note that I did remove the second layer of napkin. I forgot to mention that. And now I'm just going to remove the excess napkin, cut slits where the little slats are, and then put a little bit of fire to it and let the excess burn right away.
You see how awesome that is? Look at that. I love watching this, guys. It's so fun. And those little edges that didn't get burned off, I'm just using my little nail file to go ahead and finish off those little edges. And then I'm going to take some of this dishwasher safe Mod Podge. This is going to be coasters, therefore needing to be water safe and in the napkin not to get ruined. So I gave him 2 coats of this Mod Podge. And that's it. We are done. Look how cute those are. I love these, guys. Let me know what you think. It is one of these pieces from the Dollar Tree. I am going to paint the top section using Tuscan Red from Apple Barrel. I made sure to paint the sides as well, so this will be nice and finished. For the bottom piece, I use this dark blue from Craftsman, and I give this about 3 coats of this paint. Again, I am doing the bottom part along with the sides where this blue is. And the white is white, but I didn't like the white it was, so I'm going to go ahead and use this Craftsman white paint to also paint the sides, the front, and the other side of the middle part there. I give each 3 coats. And here are all the 3 colors that I used in case you need to get them. The Craftsman paints I got from Michael and Apple Barrel from Walmart. And here it is so far. Now we are going to take the stencil from Dollar Tree. I'm going to use the same colors. I'm going to first place the top portion there on the white, and I'm going to stencil the blue color onto that piece. In the beginning here, I was stenciling the tiny stars along with the big star in the middle. That was the first, idea I had. And it just didn't turn out the way I wanted. So I went with a different approach. You'll see it in a little while when I changed it up. For the bottom part, since the blue part was blue, I needed a different color. So I went with yellow with the bottom part of the star there, using some makeup brushes to put the stencil down. Just make sure it is not too saturated to avoid any bleeds. Remember when I told you to change my mind? So I removed that star altogether, painted over it, and just leave the circle of stars. So here, I didn't like how the red was still looking, so I gave it another coat. And I'm going to put it aside to dry. In the meantime, I'm going to work with these stars from Dollar Tree. I took 5, painted 3 of them with the blue color, and 2 of them with the white color. My friends, if you're enjoying the video so far, don't forget to leave me a thumbs up. And if you're so inclined and you're really enjoying the content, go ahead and subscribe. It is free and it means the world to me. And of course, don't forget to hit the notification bell and set it to all so you don't miss out on any of my upcoming videos. Alright, so once those stars dry, I'm going to take a little bit of wood hot glue and I'm going to attach them to the top section, the red section of that flag I made. I put 1 in the middle and 2 on the sides. I'm going to attach them with some hot glue only. And I'm going to place the white ones right there in between those to make sure that everything is nice and centered. And it's looking cute, right? But I'm not done yet. I'm going to take some twine and we're going to be distressing this first. I took one of those glass cleaner wipes from Dollar Tree and I'm just wet distressing actually, the edges of this little piece. And just, if you see there, I'm just wiping off the color on each of the sections on the edges there, just to create a little bit more depth on it. And I'm just being very careful though to not bring that color to the next color, because especially with the blue being so close to the white, you can easily stain the blue. So just be very careful to stay in those sections first and move your little wipey in between. Now I took some antique wax from Waverly and I'm completely distressing and grunging up this piece a lot. I love how this looks. I love that whole, antiqued Americana decor. So this is what we are going to do here. If you don't like this, you can go ahead and just skip this step. And then I took off the twine. There's the twine. So I just took the twine. I'm going to go ahead and glue it diagonal right there. And I'm just doing 1 crisscross like that. And making sure to have it nicely centered on that circle of stars. Then I tied it up doing 2 knots. And then we just going to glue it in place. Here I feel like I should play the Jeopardy sound. Do, 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 do. Don't mind me, guys. Here I'm finally gluing it down like I said. I'm just making sure that everything stays in place. I don't want this twine moving, so that's why I did that. So now I took a single star and I'm going to paint it red using this same Tuscan red. Once I dried, I pasted red there with both twines joined, and of course I'm going to distress it as well. So I just put a little bit of antique wax on top of it as well. And here it is, all done. Look how cute that is, guys. I love it. Let me know what you think. All right, this one surprised me how it turned out. Let's get started. We're going to take the star that we got here on the music sheet. I'm going to position the music sheet right here at the center, making sure that the title of that music sheet of that song is at the center. And then I'm going to use my fingernail. And this was kind of brittle, which was kind of awesome because I was able to run my fingernail through the edges and it pretty much cut the paper. So I did that all the way around until all of the excess paper was removed from all the edges. These 2 sides here were a little bit too straight for me. They were giving me, short sleeve shirt to sit in there. So we're going to go ahead and remove the edges from here. Here I did it dry, but then I decided, you know what, it's easier if we use a wet paintbrush to wet those edges and then tear off that edge. And that just also gives you a tapered edge that's going to sit on that surface a lot better. And I repeated this same thing here on the top as well. Then I took antique wax from Waverly and we're going to do the entire star with it. We're going to start with a wet brush and some antique wax on the middle section of the entire star. Then I came in with this straight antique wax on all of the edges of the star because I did want that section to be a bit darker than the middle. And I went heavy with the antique wax right here on the edges. This is composite, but I wanted this to look like a solid wood piece, so we're going to make sure that it does so on all of these angles. And I set it aside to dry. Then I took the brush and with the leftover wax, we're going to distress all the edges of the music sheet. I'm just going to do little dabbing motions all along the edges just to have this blend nicely with the background. Next, I took some Mod Podge and we're going to add it to the center of our star. I wanted to go light, but not this light. So we're going to add some more Mod Podge to the center here and then spread it on all the areas heavier where we're going to be adding the music sheet. I am spreading this as light as possible, just trying to stay within heavier where the music sheet will be landing. And then just to make sure that the entire surface looks cohesive with the remaining Mod Podge that I have on the brush, I will also add some to the 3 corners that the music sheet will not be covering. Then we're going to reposition our music sheet as you see there, making sure that everything falls into place. And then softly, I will be patting it down, making sure everything is straight, and then making sure that the sheet is adhered correctly, that there are no bubbles or wrinkles. So that's what I'm doing here. And then once I get to the edges, I'm just going to start brushing that down to ensure that the edges are also adhered and that there are no gaps in between. And I'm making sure everything is nice and smooth all in the middle. Then I had a little bit of that antique wax still left over on my brush. So I'm going to dry brush that all in the top of the music sheet. And that's going to bring in some of that more distressed look, that it will be more cohesive with this entire piece. Then I took a fan brush from my stash and I'm going to add some Mod Podge to the end of that fan brush. And this is so I'm able to seal in everything into this piece. I see that the fan brush usually, it allows me to give a more even amount of Mod Podge over the surface. And at the same time, I notice that paper doesn't react to the Mod Podge as much as if I use a more saturated brush. And here has some lifting. So I'm just going to go ahead and add some Mod Podge underneath and make sure that the edge is completely adhered. Now we're going to take our dies that we got here. I'm going to use 2 out of the 3. and I'm going to position them right here towards the bottom of the star. But at first, I'm going to stain them with some antique wax. Next, I'll take a combination of some Tide Bond Quick and Thick and some hot glue to attach these dies to the position we had determined earlier, right here at the bottom of these 2 feet of the star. And here it's very important to make sure that the dies are nicely leveled as well. Next, I'm going to take one of these little planks from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to stain one of them with some antique wax. Once it was nice and dry, I'm going to come in and attach it to our dies. And to do that, I'm going to use a combination of the Tide Bond Quick and Thick and some hot glue as well. Full disclosure, the hot glue kind of left a space in between, which did not allow the Tide Bond to fully attach this together. So I ended up removing the hot glue and just using the Tide Bond, and this dried in about 10 minutes. Now we're going to take these 2 pieces that we got from Dollar Tree, but I'm using is this hardware. I removed the hardware from both of the pieces, and I'm positioning one right here at the center of our dies, and I'm marking exactly where my little screws will be. And I repeated the same thing with the other one as well. Now I'm going to go ahead and take a very small drill bit and drill just little pilot holes in those sections that I marked where my little screws will be. Repeating this with both of the dies. Then we're going to position both of these right there, lining them up with the holes we created, and then screw them right in place. Then I remove the hanger from that same piece we got this from, and we are going to attach it to the back of our star, and that is it for this one. Please let me know in the comment section, what do you think about this project? I love it. I think it's so unique. Use one of these tin cans from Dollar Tree, one of these foam balls, and a dowel rod, and some floral foam and some flowers. So first thing that I did was cut a piece of floral foam, just a little square, and then I added some hot glue to my pail and glued that floral foam to the bottom. Now I'm going to take my foam ball, put the dowel rod right in the middle of it, and stick it onto my floral foam. Now I'm taking the flowers, and we are going to start at the very top with a red one and start putting the other ones around that, trying to keep the colors varied. Like, try to put a blue, a white, a red, a blue, like a pattern like that, in which, they look nice and uniform. And I just did that until I completely covered the entire ball. Or I will say, I get at least like 4/5 of it. I used a total of 4 picks of this. Note that these flowers I got when they were still $1. So I spent $4 on that, and $1 on the pail, and the foam ball I had in my stash for I don't know how long, and so the dowel rod and the floral foam. So note here also, guys, that you see me here, I'm just sticking the flowers using the little piece that comes off of it. I didn't leave any of the what do you call it? The stems on them. I wanted the flower to be completely onto this. You could use, leave a piece of the pick on there and just not have to use any glue. I wanted to just have it nice and attached with just that piece. So I just positioned them where I needed them. Once the holes were pre-made, I went back in and added a little bit of hot glue onto that piece. But you can always do this glueless and just cut your stems short and stick it right into your ball. I just didn't want the stems hitting each other and giving me a hard time, that's all. So here you can see when I was having a hard time with them popping off, and I was expecting that because, that's what happens when they're pressured like this. And here you see how I am adding some hot glue to them, putting the hot glue into the hole that I created, and then putting it down, waiting for that to dry. Just make sure to use your glue gun with not too much of the high setting in the glue so you don't melt off the foam. Once every flower was glued in place and dry, I'm going to flip this over and add my dowel rod back in. I lost my hole, guys. How? I don't know, but I created a new one. And I'm just, reinforcing it with a bit of hot glue and letting that dry. And this is going to go right back into the pail. Then I took some craft paper and I'm just, making it all wrinkly, a little more malleable, and I'm just filling in the pail with it to make sure that everything stays in place and that I have to use less of the next thing that I'm going to put in here instead of wasting some of my Spanish moss there. I added paper, and now I am covering up that paper with some Spanish moss. And I found that it's easier and less messy if I cut my Spanish moss instead of trying to tear it off. So that's what I did. See there, my friends, I also use some antique wax to age my flowers along with the tin. And here we go. It is all complete. Look at that, guys. What do you guys think? It's one of these new little signs from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to completely cover with my Black & Decker paint and primer the brown section on there along with the sides of the frames. I use a small paintbrush because I wanted that choppy look. Then I painted the frame using Ocean from Waverly. I thought this color will be drying a lot darker based on the cover, but it wasn't. So I did this, waited for it to dry, and once it dried, the color didn't change much. I wanted something darker. So I took some of this Rust-Oleum chalk paint in navy, and I'm adding a little bit of black to it, and now I am adding it to my frame. It looks pretty black there. It really isn't black. It is like a navy blue. So it came out perfect. Once the frame was completely dry, I took one of these calendars from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to use this Patriotic print. This is the calendar from 2023, and I'm going to cut out that truck. Then I'm placing it right down, make sure exactly where I wanted it. And then I took some Mod Podge and I'm going to add it to the flip side of the truck, making sure to saturate every single inch of the paper. I felt that the sides were kind of bland and generic, so I decided to take the sides of the calendar piece and put them on the sides of the frame as well. I also attached them using some Mod Podge. My friends, I'm so excited for the summer. I can't wait to get out there and do things. I am trying to figure out a way to craft outside because I do want you guys to have like a great view. You can see all the lighting and everything. You can see clearly what I'm working on. I'm not sure if daylight light will be good enough for the videos. You guys let me know if you would like to see me crafting outside in some of my videos, just so I can enjoy the outdoors, watch my kids play, and at the same time do what I love, which is watch my kids play first of all, and then crafting as well. Alright guys, so I made a burlap bow. I'm going to go ahead and make also a red and jute cord bow, and I'm going to tie the two bows together right there. Friends, I knew I wanted a bow in this piece. I just had a hard time trying to figure out exactly where I wanted to keep it. So here you're going to find me putting it in all kinds of different places. But the other side kind of felt a little blank, so I decided to go ahead and just dovetail my ends and put it to the side. And then I was like, you know, the other side is too empty and I don't like the bow on that side because it covers the flag. I didn't want the flag to get covered either. So I decided to put the bow on this side and to add the other side of the calendar piece to the other side of that frame there. I just had to take my time and try to figure out exactly how to place this. I didn't want the flag to get covered in any way, so I placed my piece down and folded it in a way so that I was able to create a little crease that will show me exactly the angle in which I needed to cut this piece in order to protect the integrity of the flag. Once I made sure that everything fits correctly, I took some Mod Podge and used it to glue this down. Okay, now I can give my OCD some rest. Now it looks nice and symmetrical, and now we're gonna glue the bow right there to that corner, and we're gonna let that dry. And I added a little bit more at the top to reinforce, and now we are going to distress the entire thing using some Waverly Antique Wax. My friends, thank you so much for being with me this far into the video. It means that you have enjoyed the content, so go ahead and subscribe. It is free and it means the world to me. So now we are all distressed out, and this is it. Let me know what you think. I love this piece. I sure hope you loved it too. I used this sign from the Dollar Tree. It comes with the 3 stars. I sanded down all of the glitter and also most of the color. Then I removed all 3 of the stars because that's what I'm going to be using for this DIY. But I did keep that star for future use. So now I'm going to take the 3 stars and I'm going to paint the first one with that mixture that I made when I was working on the picture frame with the truck. I'm going to paint this star with that color, but I'm using a very small brush because I want it to be streaky. Then I took antique parchment from Apple Barrel and I painted the tan star using that color as well. And for the 3rd star, I used Tuscan Red by Apple Barrel, and again using a small brush, so I have the little streaky finish. Once they dried, I came in with different colors to color back in those letters. So for the white star, I used the Tuscan Red to put the A right back where it belongs. Here, take your time. I am just having this quite sped up. I did take my time, and in order to have nice clean lines. Now I'm using the antique parchment from Apple Barrel to color in the blue star and put that U right back in there. For the red star, I used that dark blue to go ahead and bring back that S. Alright, so now I'm taking 3 of these burlap canvases that I got from Dollar Tree, and we are going to place our stars on there. I just use hot glue to do that. And then I'm going to take some of this Fix All that I got from Dollar Tree. It's actually made by super glue, and I'm putting it in the 4 points there where the burlap was, the inner part of the burlap, in the first and last ones. Then I'm bringing them closer, and I'm going to be adding the S on top of those, and just press it down in place until the hot glue set, and give it time for the Fix All to make things permanent. And I just reinforce it with some more hot glue on the joint side once I flipped it over. I wanted some more security on this as well, and to make sure that everything held in place and it was able to stand on its own, I added some of these tumbling tower blocks from the Dollar Tree. I ended up making a stack of 4 for each one of the canvases. Then I took some more tumbling tower blocks and I am gluing them on the sides there where the 2 canvases join, in order to give this a little bit more stability and make sure that this doesn't fall apart. I wanted to put pieces of painter sticks that I had left over from other projects, but I couldn't find it. But if you're able to do that, that will be quite easy. So you will be able to put a piece alongside the entire side there of the canvases. So here you see me adding the extra tumbling tower blocks here to the bottom, so it acts as little feet to keep this from tipping over. And I made 3 bows. I made a blue one, which I placed right there in the center where the S is, and 2 red ones. And I placed those on the other 2 sides, one where the U is and another one where the A is, right at the top of each one of these burlap canvases. I keep wanting to call them frames, but they are canvases. When I was done with this part, it was a little tipping forward, so I added a tiny piece of popsicle stick in the bottom there, and that fixed the issue. Then I used some of this ribbon from Dollar Tree and I cut a thin piece of it, and I'm going to glue it right there to the bottom of the stars. I felt like I needed a little bit more character in the bottom, plus I needed also to cover up that popsicle stick that I stuck in the middle. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's episode, here are a couple more videos you are sure to enjoy. Thank you so much for stopping by. You're amazing. Bye.